My fiancé wanted a breakup for the summer before our wedding. I replied, interesting idea. Then I sent her a legal contract agreeing to it with a massive financial penalty if she broke the terms. She was left frantically trying to backtrack as her free summer now had stakes. I, 31 male, have been with my fiancée, Jessica, 29, for 4 years. Or, well, I was. Our wedding was set for September 21st. The venue was booked, a sprawling, rustic barn thing that cost a small fortune. Deposits were paid on everything from the photographer to the ridiculously artisanal donut wall she insisted on. We lived together in a condo that I own. I bought it before I met her, and she contributed a set amount each month for utilities and groceries. To handle the wedding expenses, we opened a dedicated high-yield savings account in my name that we both contributed to. It was simpler for managing vendor payments, which I was handling. I put in $25,000. She, over the last year, had put in $15,000. That was the balance of things. 2 weeks ago, on a Tuesday night, she sat me down on our gray linen sofa, the one she picked out. She had that look on her face, the one that tries to be gentle but is really just bracing for impact. Thomas, she started, twisting a loose thread on a cushion. I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about the wedding. My stomach went cold. I'm a planner, an architect. My world is built on blueprints and load-bearing walls. I don't do well with surprises that threaten the foundation. Okay, I said, my voice steady. It's a trick I learned early on. When your insides are screaming, make your voice a flat line. I love you, she said. The classic preamble to a car crash. I truly do. But marriage, it's forever. And I just have this tiny nagging feeling that we're rushing. That I haven't had a chance to be just me before I become a we forever. I didn't say anything. I just watched her. I saw the rehearsed speech in her eyes, the carefully chosen words designed to sound profound instead of selfish. My friend Barbara, she continued, she and her husband did this. Before they got married, they took a summer apart, a breakup for the summer, no contact. They both got to have one last hurrah to make sure they were really ready to settle down. And she said it was the best thing they ever did for their relationship. A breakup for the summer, 3 months before our wedding. My mind went quiet. The emotional, hysterical part of my brain just shut off. In its place, the architect took over. I saw the blueprint of her plan. She wasn't looking for reassurance. She was looking for a guilt-free pass. She wanted to spend the summer with someone else and keep me, the stable future, on ice until fall. The pain was there, of course, a deep, hollow ache that started in my chest and spread through my limbs. It felt like finding a crack in the foundation of a building you thought was perfect. You know, in that instant, that it's not a simple repair. It's a teardown. I looked at her, at the eager hope in her eyes, the expectation that I would either have a fit or reluctantly agree. She thought she was dealing with a romantic, a partner. She wasn't. She was dealing with a strategist. Interesting idea, I said. Her face lit up with relief. Really? You're not mad? I'm processing, I said, which was true. There are logistics to consider. If we're doing this, we need to do it properly, like Barbara. Totally, she beamed. We just need some ground rules. Exactly, I said. I want to protect us both. The condo, the wedding finances. It could get messy if we don't have a clear agreement. I paused. My cousin Joseph is a contract lawyer. I could have him draft a simple separation agreement for the summer. I'll pay him for his time, of course. It's better to spend a few hundred on legal fees now than risk thousands later. Just to keep everything neat and tidy. No emotions, just business. I could see the gears turning in her head. The word lawyer probably scared her, but framing it as protecting us both and business made it seem mature. Responsible, even. She was so focused on the prize, her summer of freedom, that she didn't see the trap being laid. Wow, she said. That's actually really smart, Thomas. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. She thought it was for her. It wasn't. It was for me. The next 2 days were a blur of quiet activity. I spoke to Joseph, who, after a long, silent pause, simply said, I'll have it for you by tomorrow. Don't worry. I spent hours methodically going through our shared finances, vendor contracts for the wedding, and the condo agreement. Jessica was giddy, already packing a suitcase and talking about staying with her friend Sarah for a bit. The contract Joseph drafted was a work of art, simple, clean, and utterly brutal. It laid out the terms of our summer separation. Term: the agreement would be in effect from June 1st to August 31st. Residency and property: Jessica would vacate my property by 5 p.m. on June 1st, taking all her personal belongings with her. A clause stipulated that any property left behind must be retrieved at her own expense within 30 days of her vacating the premises, following a formal written notice. Communication: no contact of any kind would be initiated by either party for any reason other than a documented medical emergency of a direct family member. The liquidated damages clause. This was the masterpiece. It stated that our wedding was a joint financial venture. It specified that if Jessica were to breach any key term of the agreement, she would forfeit her entire $15,000 contribution. This sum was defined not as a penalty, but as liquidated damages. A pre-agreed estimate of the significant financial losses, non-refundable deposits, cancellation fees that would be incurred from the immediate and necessary cancellation of the wedding should the separation agreement fail. I presented it to her on Friday night. "Here's that agreement. You should read it over." She opened it, her eyes scanning. She laughed. "This is so official. Party A and Party B." "Joseph is thorough," I said, making coffee. She flipped through it. I saw her eyes glaze over at the legal jargon. She got to the damages clause and paused. $15,000, she said, confused. "That's all my savings." "It's a liquidated damages clause, Jessica," I said calmly, using the term Joseph taught me. "It's not a punishment. It's a pre-calculation of the real financial hit we'd take if this goes wrong and we have to cancel the wedding. Think of all the non-refundable deposits. This way, if one of us breaks the terms, we don't have to fight over who owes what. It's a clean way to cover the costs. It applies to both of us, but since the funds are in my account to pay the vendors, it has to be worded this way." It was the perfect explanation. It sounded fair. It sounded like it was for her benefit, too. She bit her lip, then shrugged. "Okay, I guess that makes sense. It's not like either of us is going to break it anyway." She signed it. 2 copies. She didn't get a lawyer to look at it. She was in too much of a hurry for her summer. She moved her stuff out that Saturday. I watched her carry boxes to her car, a pit in my stomach. When the last one was loaded, she gave me a quick, awkward hug. "I'll see you in September," she said, her voice bright. "This is going to be so good for us. You'll see." I just nodded. "Be safe, Jessica." I watched her drive away. Then I went inside the silent condo. I let myself feel it then. The full weight of the betrayal. I didn't shout. I didn't break anything. I just sat on the floor of our half-empty bedroom and let the silence wash over me. Then I stood up, went to my laptop, and changed the code on the electronic front door lock. The trap was set. All I had to do was wait. Update 1. It's been 23 days since Jessica left. The first week was hell. Every creak of the condo sounded like her. I kept thinking I saw her out of the corner of my eye. It's a phantom limb, a future you thought you had. I did what any sane, heartbroken person would do. I deep-cleaned the entire condo, rearranged the furniture, and created a meticulous spreadsheet of wedding vendors and cancellation clauses. It's what I know. Structure. Order. I didn't have to wait long for confirmation of my suspicions. Jessica isn't exactly a master of subterfuge. Her social media, which I had the foresight to monitor through a mutual friend's account, became a highlight reel of her eat, pray, love summer. Except it was more like drink, post, tag, and she was tagging someone new. A guy named Richard. Richard is exactly the type you'd picture. Wears boat shoes with no socks. His Instagram is a curated collection of him on boats, him on golf courses, and him holding cocktails that cost more than my weekly groceries. There they were, Jessica and Richard beaming from the patio of a winery. A week later, a group shot at a beach house, his arms slung possessively around her. The caption, "Summer nights with the best crew." It hurt, yes, a dull, predictable throb, but mostly I felt a sense of vindication. This wasn't a spontaneous journey of self-discovery. This was a pre-planned affair she wanted to enjoy without the guilt of the label cheater. She'd found my replacement before she'd even left my home. This morning it happened. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. "Jessica, hey you, just been thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay." My heart hammered in my chest. This was it, the first pebble in the avalanche. I stared at the message. The casualness of it was insulting. "Hey you," like she was texting a college buddy. I didn't reply. I took a screenshot, saved it, and continued with my morning coffee. An hour later, another buzz. "Jessica. Thomas, you there? I was just wondering if you'd remembered to pay the final deposit for the caterer. It's due this week, I think. Don't want them to cancel on us." And there it was. The breach, clear, documented, and utterly stupid. My hands were perfectly steady as I opened my laptop. I composed a new email. I attached the 2 screenshots of her texts with timestamps clearly visible. To Jessica, CC, Joseph. Subject: Notice of Breach of Summer Separation Agreement. Jessica, this email serves as formal notification that you have breached the terms of our legally binding summer separation agreement dated May 30th. As per Clause 3, communication, no contact was to be initiated by either party. Today, at 9:15 a.m. and 10:22 a.m., you initiated contact via text message for a non-emergency reason. See attached screenshots. As per Clause 4, Liquidated Damages Clause, this breach results in the immediate forfeiture of your entire $15,000 contribution. These funds will now be used to cover the cancellation fees for all wedding-related vendors and contracts, as outlined in the agreement. Please consider this notice that the wedding planned for September 21st is officially canceled. I will handle all communications with the vendors. Do not contact me further. Any future communication must go through my legal counsel, Joseph, who is CC'd on this email. Sincerely, Thomas. I hit send. The silence that followed lasted for exactly 11 minutes. Then my phone started vibrating so hard it nearly fell off the table. I silenced it. It rang again. And again. The text started pouring in. I blocked her number. I feel calm. The ache is still there, but it's the clean pain of a necessary surgery, not the festering rot of betrayal. She wanted a summer without consequences. I just handed her the bill. Update 2, it's late July. The heat is oppressive, but my condo is cool and quiet. Life has taken on a new rhythm. I've canceled every vendor. Most were surprisingly understanding. The forfeited $15 from Jessica covered every single cancellation fee and non-refundable deposit almost to the dollar. I'm not out of pocket. I thought the email and the financial hit would be the end of it. I was wrong. It seems Jessica and Richard's summer fling has hit its first major obstacle: reality. Last Saturday, my doorbell rang, a hard, insistent knocking on my actual door. I checked the camera on my phone. It was Jessica, and right behind her, looking smug and angry, was Richard. I let them stand there for a full minute while I considered my options. Then I answered the door, opening it only a few inches, the chain still on. "Jessica," I said, my voice neutral. "We need to talk," she said, trying to push the door open. The chain held. "No, we don't," I replied. "All communication goes through Joseph. You know this." Richard stepped forward. "Dude, cut the crap. You're being a psycho about this. It's her money." "It's nice to meet you," I said, looking directly at him. "I'm the guy whose fiancée left him to spend the summer with you." "And you are?" "This isn't about him," Jessica snapped. "This is about you stealing from me. I want my stuff, Thomas. My winter coats, my grandmother's lamp. I was waiting for this. Your belongings were not stolen, Jessica," I said, my patience a weapon. "They were handled exactly as outlined in the contract you signed. The items you left behind were inventoried and placed in a climate-controlled storage unit." I continued, letting the bureaucratic coldness sink in. "Joseph sent a formal notice via certified mail to your friend Sarah's address, the forwarding address you provided, over a month ago. It contained the full inventory list, the storage unit details, and instructions for retrieval. The contract stipulated you had 30 days to arrange for collection at your own expense. That deadline is this Friday." Her face went from rage to stunned confusion. The lamp wasn't her grandmother's. It was a cheap antique store find. But her winter coats? Those were expensive, and now they were locked away behind a wall of logistics she had to solve. "You put my stuff in storage," she whispered, horrified. "Why wouldn't you just let me come get it?" "Because that would involve you coming here and initiating contact, which would have been a further breach of our agreement," I said simply. "I followed the contract precisely to avoid any further conflict. It's all been handled legally. Now you're trespassing. I'm going to ask you to leave. If you're still here in 60 seconds, I will call the police." Richard scoffed. "You wouldn't." I just held up my phone, the screen already on the dial pad. 50 seconds. The bravado drained from Richard's face. He grabbed Jessica's arm. Come on, Jessica. He's crazy. Let's go. She looked back at me over her shoulder. The hatred in her eyes was pure. You'll regret this, Thomas. I closed the door and saved the entire recording from the doorbell camera. Jessica's parents called me later that week. I had Joseph forward them a polite email explaining the situation, complete with a redacted copy of the contract, a summary of events, and a copy of the certified mail receipt for the storage notice. Her mother called back, mortified. Jessica had told them I was the one who demanded the break and was now holding her things hostage. The truth, in its cold, documented glory, was undeniable. Final update. It's October. The leaves are turning, and the air has that crisp, clean edge that always feels like a new beginning. My condo is sold. I closed last week. Too many ghosts. I'm in a new apartment downtown overlooking a park. It's smaller, but it's all mine. The silence here is peaceful, not heavy. The final act of the Jessica saga played out not with a bang, but with the pathetic fizzle of a wet firecracker. As expected, she took me to small claims court for the $15,000. She represented herself. Richard, predictably, was nowhere to be seen. Their summer romance, built on deception, apparently couldn't survive the harsh lighting of legal proceedings. I showed up to court with Joseph. I had my folder, the signed contract, the screenshots of the text messages, the time-stamped video of her trespassing. Jessica's argument was purely emotional. She talked about how I had manipulated her, how I had been cold and unfeeling. Then she played her trump card, and he stole my property. He locked away all my winter clothes and precious family heirlooms and tried to get rid of them. When it was our turn, Joseph stood up. He was calm, almost bored. First, he presented the contract, pointing to her signature on the liquidated damages clause. Then he addressed the property claim. Your Honor, my client did not steal or withhold any property. In fact, he went to great lengths and personal expense to protect Miss Peterson's belongings in accordance with the law. He then produced the evidence. The full, itemized inventory list of the items she'd left. The receipt for the first month of the storage unit. The certified mail receipt for the legal notice, which had been delivered to the address Jessica provided. He even had a printout of an email from the storage company, noting the unit was now empty, as Jessica had been forced to clear it out at the last minute before its contents were auctioned. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, looked from the stack of evidence to Jessica. Ma'am, it seems Mr. Hayes has acted with more diligence and legal propriety regarding your relationship and property than you have. You signed a contract. You breached it. He followed it to the letter, even when protecting the belongings you abandoned. There is no case here. Dismissed. I walked out of the courtroom without looking at her. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt done. The final piece of paperwork on a demolished building had been filed. A week later, I got one last text from her, from a number I didn't recognize. Jessica, I hope you're happy. You ruined my life over a few text messages. It was the perfect encapsulation of her entire worldview. In her mind, the problem wasn't her betrayal. The problem was that I had held her accountable. I didn't reply. I blocked the number and changed the password on my premium Spotify account, which she'd somehow still been using. There is no cinematic ending where the villain learns their lesson. People like Jessica don't learn. They just move on, spinning a new narrative where they are the victim. And that's fine. My revenge wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet. It was bureaucratic. It was simply the methodical application of consequences. And in the end, that is the most satisfying justice of all. I am at peace. I am moving forward.